Hi, my name is Jared, and this is Horror Obsession. Today, I want to talk about Halloween 2018, written and directed by David Gordon Green. This movie is almost good. It might even be partially good. I really wanted to like this movie, as I love the original Halloween movies, and eagerly awaited the return of John Carpenter's Michael Myers instead of the, other one. But just like Johnny Depp, I was hesitant to forgive after the steaming pile of shit on my bed that was Halloween Resurrection.
Trick or treat, motherfucker!
Halloween 2018 is actually pretty decent, but there are elements which prove to be insurmountably stupid. The first and biggest misstep is the climax, but there are also characters making decisions which are irrational and make no sense, even within the context of the story, far too frequent homages, storylines and setups with no payoff, completely on-the-nose dialogue,
Oh, you're the new Loomis.
and characters who literally just disappear from the script. It's taken me a while to muster up the courage for this one, so like a movie reviewer forced to endure the entirety of Cats, let's get this over with. Alright, so Act 1, Introduce the Horror, gets started with some British podcasters who research old murder cases. The doctor says 50 psychiatrists evaluated Michael Myers, but then in the same scene mentions that Michael doesn't talk, so I'm not sure why they kept lining up psychiatrists. Maybe it was some sort of initiation ritual. Oh, and don't forget to send the interns to interview the mute guy, that's always hilarious. The podcasters brought the mask from evidence. Shh, it's better if you don't think about it. And all the inmates get spooked by the mask's power or something. I assume this is meant to be an homage to Halloween 3, but the concept of the supernatural force that is the mask is never revisited. The podcasters find out Michael is being transported to another hospital after 40 years because the plot needs that to happen. Act 2 is actually where this movie is at its best. The podcasters go to interview Laurie, and one of them reads a sign right in front of their faces out loud, which just... Alright. So I get that she reads it so the audience knows what it says, but this is such a horrible example of telling instead of showing. All it takes is one camera shot, which includes the sign, and you don't have to do this. Exposition should be reserved for moments which are not easily captured on camera, and this one is just so simple. Okay, so anyway, they talk to Laurie. She is now a survivalist in a twist which is, borrowed from Sarah Connor in T2. Laurie is still upset about that night and asks them to leave. Next, we meet Allison, Ray, and Karen, whose names I had to look up even though I wrote this immediately after rewatching the movie. The dad is trying to tease his daughter about her new boyfriend, but he just comes off as a weird, creepy jerk. There is some family drama, and then we see the kids talking. DGG just smashes through the fourth wall like the Kool-Aid Man and confronts the myth Laurie is Michael's sister.
That's just a bit that some people made up to make him feel better, I think.
And then also makes fun of the escalation of violence in horror movies.
I mean, what, a couple people getting killed by one guy with a knife is not that big of a deal.
Back to back in the same scene. Next, we get another, homage to the classroom fate scene in the original Halloween, including Allison looking out the window and seeing Laurie exactly the same way Laurie saw Michael. Allison and her boyfriend are at dinner with her parents when there is even more drama, including Laurie crushing Ray's wine, and then instantly crying because she just went to murder Michael while he's getting transported, but her mini bottle of alcohol wasn't enough liquid courage. I'm pretty sure the lesson here is if you want to commit murder, be sure to drink a full bottle of vodka like a normal person.
This is exactly why we don't reach out.
Karen explains to her daughter the reason she hates her mom is her parenting techniques caused all of Karen's neuroses. Which is weird because at no point do we ever see any of her neuroses, and she lives in a totally normal house with a totally normal family and appears to be totally normal, but she says she has neuroses, so I guess it's true. After this, we see Michael escape the transport bus because, of course he does. This kid who wants to dance,
I love spending time with you, but right now dancing is my thing, and it really hits me in the heart.
And his dad stumble upon the crash. The kid investigates with a gun, and the doctor jumps out and yells, "Don't shoot."
Don't shoot!
Ugh. I know people are stupid in horror movies, but why couldn't he just say "don't shoot" and then stand up? Anyway, Michael kills the kid, and then we get a title card scene that it's October 31st.
Not that big of a deal.
So next, we see the podcasters are on their way somewhere when they stop to get gas. We see Michael walk past in the background and no one notices. The lady podcaster asks where the loo is, while Michael kills someone in the background, and honestly the fact that she's willing to use a gas station bathroom is by far the most unrealistic part of this scene. Next, Michael gives us some wish fulfillment as he brutally murders the British people for referring to a bathroom as the loo.
Where's the loo?
Excuse me?
Bathroom?
Okay, so you do know what we call it. Also, I know British people are stereotypically stoic, but come on. She is completely calm when some random guy walks into the women's loo and starts trying to open stalls. She doesn't even panic when he drops a bunch of teeth in her stall, like she investigates what it was he dropped first, as if it even matters. Michael retrieves his mask from their car, and off we go to Haddonfield. Then Laurie sees on the news that Michael's transport crashed, and she knows that means game on, and we get our starting gun. Laurie has constructed a remote-controlled kitchen island, which opens up to some kind of bunker where she stores her guns and other survival supplies. But Laurie is basically Cassandra and no one believes her. It doesn't help that her method of delivering the news is to sneak into her estranged daughter's house and jump down the stairs yelling, "Gotcha! Gotcha!" Then berating them for not keeping her out.
This is exactly why we don't reach out.
I'm starting to see why Karen tries to stay away from Laurie. The relationship is pretty toxic. I mean, not shit in her bed and accuse you of domestic violence while secretly being the abuser the whole time, but pretty toxic. Next, various characters deliver some exposition about how Halloween night is scary, and Allison and her boyfriend go to their Halloween party dressed as gender-reversed Bonnie and Clyde. The party is pretty good, especially after we find out the kids snuck flasks in and are getting drunk. I know that feeling well, my guys. I know it far too well. So now that everyone is good and tipsy, they randomly clear the dance floor for this choreographed dance number by the cheerleaders, and the whole time I can't stop thinking about how lame it is the cheerleaders came to Halloween dressed as cheerleaders. Boyfriend character kisses another girl and Allison runs off. So anyway, Vicky, Allison's friend from earlier, is babysitting and she invites her boyfriend, Dave, over to smoke weed and have sex, which basically nails both of the cardinal sins of horror movies.
It's not that big of a deal.
She and the kid are hilarious and tease each other.
I heard you telling your friends to come over here and you're gonna smoke some weed.
No.
I know you talking about smoking weed. Don't lie to me. That's against the rules. I'm telling my mom.
You used to be my favorite, but now you're like my 10th favorite boy that I nanny. And I babysit some fucking loser kids.
Back at the party, there's even more boring high school drama unfolding, and the kids leave the party to head over to hang out with the funny babysitter. Can't say I blame you. This is the last we see of the boyfriend, rendering all of their scenes up until this point completely useless high school drama with no lasting effect on any of the characters' motivations, desires, or their fates. Dave is definitely already high.
Check it out, fresh from my patch.
Oh my god!
His eyes are hearts.
And they start to hook up, but get interrupted because the kid thinks he saw the boogeyman in his closet. Vicky goes to investigate in a good version of the investigate strange noise trope, since in reality she would try and go ease the kid's nerves so she can have sex with Dave. And so we finally arrive at Act 3, Kill the Victims, when it is revealed Michael pulled a Tom Cruise and has been hiding in the closet, and in an event almost as tragic as the murders themselves, Dave and Vicky both die without getting to have sex first. Also, Dave is killed off screen, which is not becoming of a man of his pumpkin carving talents. Hashtag justice for Dave. They investigate the house where Vicky and Dave were murdered, and we get another, homage to the OG Halloween. The dialogue really starts to slip when Laurie says she has been praying for Michael to escape so she can kill him, and the cop says,
"Well, that was a dumb thing to pray for."
Yeah, well, that was a dumb line of dialogue for you to say, but here we both are. The non-Allison kid that left the party was predictably killed by Michael, and Allison ran away and got picked up by the sheriff and the doctor from earlier. The sheriff finds Michael and goes to kill him, but the doctor won't let him and kills the poor guy because he wants to continue his research. Gotcha! Apparently, the psychiatrist is so dedicated to his research, he is willing to murder a sheriff, which makes absolutely no sense because the doctor established earlier Michael has been mute for 40 years and the state gave up on the research. The daughter somehow escaped and is running through the forest back to Laurie's house. We cut to Laurie's house where everyone is holed up, and then Ray goes to ask the cops whether they found his daughter, but they're dead. I would like to take a moment to stop and appreciate that Michael took the time to hollow this guy's head out and make a jack-o'-lantern out of it before heading to the house, which is a level of dedication to his craft I think we can all aspire to. Michael kills Ray, obviously, then goes after Laurie and Karen. Act 4 starts, and they fight for a while, and we see Laurie's training paid off, and she's fairly evenly matched, though to be fair, she has home court advantage. There is another, homage to the original when Laurie falls out of a window and Michael looks out and she's gone, which is exactly how the first Halloween ends, except the roles are reversed. During this kerfuffle, Allison snuck in and went to hide with her mom in the shelter thingy. Michael goes looking for them and tries to move the kitchen island because he somehow senses she's down there even though there's no visible indication on the outside that the island can move. Michael figures it out, and Karen shoots him. Laurie comes out from behind and stabs him, then they push him down into the shelter, and oh wow, what a twist. It was Laurie's plan to trap Michael in the shelter, and she opens gas valves and then drops a flare, even though they are still all inside the house. The house takes its sweet time to ignite, and they casually stroll out, and credits. Alright, so first of all, there are some moments which are genuinely scary. The characters are well developed and everyone is pretty likable except Cindy Lou Who and her snobby boyfriend. DGG does a good job making them relatable and fun, even the high schoolers, in a short period of time, which is not easy. This pays off later as when the characters are in danger, like when Vicky is investigating the bedroom, the scenes are much more suspenseful since you empathize with the characters. The acting is pretty solid across the board, with the veterans like Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, and Will Patton doing most of the heavy lifting. The story overall is fine, except for the climax, and oh man, there are so many problems with the climax. Twists like this should recontextualize the entire movie, so when you rewatch and look back, you see new layers and depth to the prior scenes. The scenes should make sense during a straightforward viewing, but after have subtext which wasn't obvious the first time through, all while maintaining internal consistency. This twist does none of these things. The second time through makes even less sense than the first. For example, why would Laurie store her guns in the shelter if the plan is to lure Michael in there? Why would she have survival supplies at all? Their plan is to lure him down there, why even bother making it look like a long-term survival shelter? Why would Laurie have Karen hide in the shelter if the plan is to push Michael down there? Couldn't you have just left it open but empty and assumed Michael would look for victims down there? The more you think about it, the less sense it makes. Screwing up the climax in such a monumental way really drags down the rest of the movie, kind of like how having someone shit on your bed really drags down a relationship. The other issues are not unforgivable. The frequent homages really toe the line between lazy copying of elements of the far superior original films and paying homage to them, and if this was the only flaw, I could live with it. However, there is also the doctor bizarrely deciding to murder a sheriff for the sake of his research, the supernatural mass setup with no payoff, the boyfriend story which looks important at first but then gets unceremoniously written out of the story halfway through, and the unforgivable decision to kill my boy Dave off screen. Overall, Halloween is a decent but flawed entry into the franchise. With 2 more movies on the way, hopefully they can expand on some of these dropped plot threads and bring some closure to Dave fans, #JusticeForDave, although the high school drama portion of this movie was probably the least effective story element of the whole thing, so on second thought, let's just jump to when Allison is in college and have Michael kill off her new friends. Since I have a terrible horror obsession, I'll probably watch it either way. Hurt me again, David, you know how I like it when you humiliate me. Oh god, I'm starting to sound like Johnny Depp, I need like 50 psychiatrists.